A new poll finds Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow would handily win re-election if a vote were held today, unless another former mayor decides to enter the race. The new liaison strategy poll out this morning finds Chow currently holds a 30-point lead over Councillor Brad Bradford. The poll also finds that if former Mayor John Tory were to enter the race, Chow would remain ahead, but her lead would shrink to just 4%. So let's break these numbers down even further. David Valentin is live this morning, principal at Liaison Strategies, to talk about this poll. David, I found this really quite fascinating here. The Chow wins either way, but once you add John Tory's name into the mix, it really changes the dynamic, doesn't it?
It really does. And we go from a very sleepy race to a very competitive one very quickly. And of course, we've been hearing rumors that former Mayor John Tory is thinking about making a comeback. So we thought, on her 2-year anniversary, it would be a good time to check in and see how things are going. Yeah,
you mentioned the 2-year anniversary over the weekend. David, Mayor Chow put out a letter sort of introducing or sort of highlighting what she's done over the last year and a half and sort of, committing herself, I suppose, to the next couple of years here, making it fairly clear, David, that Chow intends to run again in 2 years' time.
Yes, I think that's right. And what we've seen, over the last 2 years is she's had a number of highs, a number of lows. And this month, of course, we're seeing her approval rating at 51%, the lowest one we've registered for her so far, but still a majority of residents say they approve of the mayor.
Yeah, so what was interesting here is, you've got John Tory's name gets in and all of a sudden Chow's lead is sort of cut to 4 as opposed to a pretty solid lead over, potentially a candidacy again of Councillor Brad Bradford. What do you think that speaks to? Does that speak to more to John Tory's recognition, Chow's record? How do you break that down when you take a look at that poll where you put John Tory in the mix?
Well, if John Tory doesn't run, we see 1 out of 5 people who say they would vote for him saying they would vote for Olivia Chow. So there's a lot of overlap between the two, even though maybe you wouldn't think that there would be. I think the mayor goes in with a very strong brand. I think there are voters who certainly wanted him to serve his 4 years. And of course, he stepped down halfway through, which led to the by-election in which Mayor Chow was elected. So there are people who want him to come back. Ultimately, you're talking about someone who has very high name recognition in a level of politics where name recognition is everything.
Yeah, it's massive and municipal, that's for sure, David. Other names that you pulled on also included Marco Mendicino, former Chief of Staff briefly to Mark Carney, former MP as well, also former Crown Councillor, and then Brad Bradford and Anthony Furey, who surprised a lot of Toronto residents last time out here. What did you see for Mendicino and Furey in the polling?
Well, for Mendicino, the numbers are not strong, and we're seeing in the favorability score for him, a lot of Torontonians don't know who he is, right? And just because you have a bad number today, I should caution, there's no election today, so you can have a bad number today, have a very good number a year from now. Not all is lost just yet. For Mr. Furey, he's got a very similar favorability score to Mr. Bradford. They're almost exactly the same in their favorability numbers. So there's some awareness of who they are, but still a lot of Torontonians have not made up their mind about them just yet, or Miss Bailao for that matter, who ran in the last election.
Yes, Bailao, pardon me. I forgot to mention Anna Bailao there. So when you take a look at where Chow has been tracking, I'm talking approvability, ratings now, David, what do you think? Does she seem vulnerable or does she seem in a position of strength? How would you overall assess that?
Well, I think this poll is really complicated. And one of the things we saw is that the number of Torontonians who list affordable housing as their top issue has gone down. And so affordable housing is now the number 2 issue in Toronto, the number 1 issue being crime. If we look at the approval scores for Olivia Chow on crime specifically, not her overall approval, but just the crime score, she's underwater. So I think there is an opportunity for someone to come in and talk about some of these issues that Torontonians don't think Olivia Chow is doing too well on, and they can try to create an opening. But that being said, if Mr. Tory doesn't run, part of the problem for whoever does want to battle Ms. Chow is they have to narrow the field. Yeah. With this many people in the race splitting the vote, it becomes really easy for her to win.
Okay, fascinating stuff. 2 years out from the next mayoral election. David Valentin, principal at Liaison Strategies. Always appreciate conversations with you, David. Thanks so much.